I was in Navy Air. My billet was I was an ordnanceman. I handled explosives. I was a member of a nuclear weapons loading team for my squadron, but I was transferred to the flight line where I became a plane captain. I became a safety officer. I was cockpit qualified. I've gone from 30% to 80%. Now, I would like to go ahead and get the other 20% because they only gave me 10% for my trigeminal neuralgia. That, when I was in the Navy, I was a plane captain. I had dental work done, and the dentist is not supposed to leave any air pockets under a tooth when they work on it for somebody that's an air crewman. The dentist left the air pocket under a tooth that had a cap put on with 4 pins in it. I got deployed a week later, got the plane to 10,000 feet, equalized air pressure on the plane, everything equalized, but that air pocket under that tooth. And the tooth exploded. I don't mean cracked. It exploded, drove the pins up into my jaw, and paralyzed me for over 5 hours. They had to make an emergency landing in Montgomery, Alabama at an Air Force base, took me off the plane and put me in the hospital. Now, what we didn't find out, they went after that, the admiral that worked on me at the Air Force base wrote a letter back to the dental department at my station, really chewing them out. And that's in my records. That letter is actually in my records. So I started having pains, severe stabbing pains in my temple. Well, started doing dental work. They did all kinds of root canals. They did all kinds of stuff. They sent me to neurologists. They sent me to neurosurgeons. And in 1990, after all that time, I was still having pains. They would come just out of the blue for no reason at all. I would have one of these pains and would last anywhere from 5 seconds to 5 minutes. And so in 1990, I saw a neurosurgeon who put me on anti seizure medicine, which stopped them, which let me go on with my life until 2005. I had a motorcycle wreck, and they found out at that time I have an irregular heartbeat, I have diabetes, I had just all kinds of stuff. And they started putting me on all this other different medication. And when they did, it canceled out the medication for my trigeminal. Trigeminal nerve is the main nerve in your brain that controls pain. And if you look it up on the internet, trigeminal neuralgia is the worst pain a human body can endure because it is the main pain nerve in your brain. And it's called the suicide syndrome because most people who have it commit suicide rather than live with the pain. And the VA actually has me on a high suicide watch. I'm not about to commit suicide, but that's what they have me on. But they won't give me but 10% for the trigeminal neuralgia. I haven't driven a car in 3 years. I'm not allowed to go out and work in my shop. I'm not allowed to do anything because if I have an episode, which comes don't know when, if I have one, I lose control completely. I lock up in pain, just severe pain. And I've had not only all kinds of medication, but I've had gamma knife surgery on my brain. That didn't work. So they went in and cut me all the way down around my ear, back down to my neck, and did actual brain surgery and went in and put a pad between the trigeminal nerve and some vessels. That didn't work at all. I had an episode the very next morning after the surgery. So now then, I haven't driven. I don't get to work. I can't do anything by myself. Somebody has to be with me at all times because if I have an episode and I'm doing something, it could be very dangerous. So the trigeminal, they're not looking at what it's done to me, and that's all because of a dentist in the Navy. The pins went up. They never found it back then because they didn't do it. But the dentist I have now did a full facial x-ray, and the pins, when they went up into my jaw, fractured this jaw and affected the trigeminal nerve. Now, the jaw didn't heal back right. And so I've gone from having maybe one or two episodes a month to it became one or two every other week. Now then, as of today, I'm having 1 to 2 a day, and they're lasting anywhere from 5 seconds to 5 minutes. And the ones that last 5 minutes, I will I'll tell you, I actually pray to God to take my life because the pain is that intense. It's just hard. Have you ever had a brain freeze from drinking something cold? Multiply that by 10 and to where your body locks up. Now, and they only gave me 10% for that. And that ain't right. In my opinion, that's not right. And I hope Trajector can do something about that. But no, Trajector has done so much for me already. I really appreciate it. I just feel extremely lucky that my son found y'all and you're helping me with mine. The VA still didn't give me but 10% for that. And that don't make sense
I got
because it has affected my life more than anything. Oh, and when they did the brain surgery, they made a mistake and cut a nerve by accident when they were making the incision and killed half of my face. Half of my face, half my tongue, everything. My everything is dead, totally dead. And when they did, it messed this eye socket up. And they just did, the VA just did surgery on my, shot it 28 times, I counted, with a laser, cutting scar tissue off the back of the lens. And then they told me that the pupil of that is no longer reactive. It stays wide open at all times. And I've had so much stuff happen to me because of that trigeminal neuralgia. But I've been extremely blessed to having the support of family and my friends and everything. And then when I went to the VA dentist, I go to a VA dentist, but then when they sent me to the VA surgeon that does dental surgery, he tells me I don't have enough bone left to do a bone graft, so I'm going to have to live with the pain the rest of my life. No, I'm thankful that I found y'all. Y'all have been so wonderful to me. Y'all are very efficient and very easy to get along with, and so it's worked out for me so far, and I do appreciate it.